Anton Kolumbet is historian by profession. Before the war, he worked as a tour guide and a translator. Anton enjoyed the work very much. He had interesting tours and his life was rich in events. I guided tourist groups in Europe. This is a job that many would like to have, because it's very interesting. You see new faces and visit new cities. In addition to that, this job allows one to earn a very decent salary. It seemed that nothing would change. But then the major anti-terrorist operation began in the east of Ukraine. After that, the situation in life radically changed, not only for Anton, but also for all Ukrainians. One day, Russian aggressors with a tricolored flag entered the territory of Ukraine and the Russian troops followed them. In 2014, two unrecognized states, the Donetsk People's Republic and the Luhansk People's Republic, were established on the territory of Ukraine. They defended the Russian world. They decided it was under threat. Then pillaging and chaos became common in the Donbass region. The one who one day homeless, a drug addict or a heavy drinker, who never worked in his life, took a machine gun in his hands, was able to take away that which hard-working people had earned. One cannot describe in words the horrors that took place in the Donbass. It turns out that Ukrainian civilians were not prepared for these events. In March 2014, the Ukrainian mass media informed about the first person who was stabbed to death at the Donetsk rally against the Russian occupation. This instilled fear in people. Russian land militants came from Russia and settled in sanatoriums, and locals were besieged by panic. Those who knew how to handle a weapon and those who had never seen one rose to defend their homeland. Seen as Anton's father fought in the Afghan war, he heard horror stories about the war since his childhood. He understood what the war was, but nevertheless he could not stay at home. It was difficult to take the first step, as I held a weapon in my hands only once in my life. It was at school, but I did not pass compulsory service in the army. First, he received a phone call from a military commissariat. Anton was offered an administrative post in the Kyiv military commissariat. There, Anton was engaged in the formation of the Kyiv Territorial Battalion. He got into the staffing section, where he compiled the list of battle units. After that, Kolumbet was sent to the village of Orihove in the Luhansk Oblast. There, he worked as a staff officer. His job was dealing with all the organizational issues. It was the first wave of mobilization. The army was not ready for such actions, but a decision had to be made very quickly. In order to provide people on the front line, 2 to 3 battalions were working. It is very hard work. Everything had to be done in a timely manner, because combat actions are impossible to foresee. Anton had a good grasp of the situation in the battalion because he worked in our military staff. He controlled the process of delivery of food rations and ammunition to the soldiers. Anton remembers well that communications, delivery of water, food, and planning of military actions were his main responsibility. Soldiers constantly needed something, and he had to find it in time. All the things that seemed to be common in normal times of peace were urgently needed and important at the front. But the most important thing is that human relations and people are highly valued in such difficult situations.
У мене були два други, вони друзі, які служили на кухні кухарами. Це два брати-близнюки.
I had two friends who worked as cooks in a kitchen. They're twin brothers. One day I passed by the kitchen and one said to me, "I have a present for you," and presented me one large onion. I understand it sounds crazy, but when you constantly eat military gruel, which is totally unsavory, even if you shake some salt and pepper on it. I always wanted to eat something spicy or sweet. When I ate this onion, I thought, oh my God, I was 28 at the time. I was a prosperous, hard-working man with a high education. I worked in Europe, and 2 months after, I was glad that I was given that onion and could simply enjoy eating it. After that, I considerably changed my worldview. I understood what was really valuable in life. For me, at that time, money, cars, houses, apartments, beautiful girls meant nothing.
Працював в Європі. І пройшло там 2 місяці, і я радію, я щиро радію, тому що в мене є цибулина, і я можу її з'їсти. І оце, мабуть, тоді я змінився.
After such situations, this young fellow had a different outlook on life. Anton was called to arms in the first wave, so he got to the first wave of demobilization, came back home in March 2015. After he returned, he stayed at home for 2 months without even leaving his apartment. He said it was psychologically difficult to see so many people, as you do not know what you can expect from them, and you feel alone in the street. You feel helpless. When you live at the front line, the war exists for everyone, for you, local civilians, and your comrades. There is no person who does not know that there is a war going on, because he or she lives in the world of the war. But here the situation is quite different. The war does not exist for the people here. First, a war breaks out, and you get distraught and angry because it seems that it is totally unjust. A peaceful life evokes such feelings in all those who return from the front line. Soldiers do not hide their emotions. They will never be the same person they were before the war. Now peace is quite different for them. Some are irritated and others are aloof. Soldiers often have flashbacks, short, situational, painful memories of some sounds that remind them of the war, like a bursting tire or a firecracker set off by some young kid.
Дратувало перший місяць, може, 2 місяці.
The crowd of people that look ahead and do not notice you angered me most. For example, it was difficult for me to go into a supermarket as there was a line of people standing at the till. It basically looked to me like a hen coop.
В супермаркеті мені було важко заходити. Ці каси, це як курник. Ти ж був на війні, так далі, а ти кажеш, що?
Every day I get asked questions like, oh, you've been in the war, right? Yes, that's a part of my life, but it's in the past now, and I might have to go back. Because most of the demobilized are in the operational reserve, and in case of escalation of the conflict, we will have to go back to our military units. But I'm still a human being, just like anyone else. I have one nose, not 10, I have no supervision, and at the same time I'm not afraid of the color gray, for example. I'm an ordinary person, but with solid experience.
Сірого кольору, все ж така сама людина, як і усі, але маю певний досвід.
This experience and reflexes will remain with the soldier forever. For example, if there is a loud band nearby, a soldier would drop down on the ground. Why? Because they were trained to survive that way in the war. It might be an unusual reaction in peaceful life, but it's normal in war, and we must respect that. That's why experts say that working both with the military and their environment is critical. They must learn to understand each other.
Той досвід, який отримали хлопці на війні, він все ж таки неоціненний. Вже ж ми декілька разів, всі психологи розказують цю історію, що в давні часи, коли воїн повертався.
The experience that soldiers gained in war is invaluable. For example, many tells the story that in the olden days, when a warrior returned to his native settlement, his fellow villagers did not accept him at first. He needed time to suppress those instincts. But then he returned to his settlement as an elder, a person who made decisions for all his villagers, and was the one whom they sought advice from, as he had much greater experience. Similarly, our veterans have learned a lot. They learned to make decisions and take responsibility. That is, they had to be responsible not only for their own survival but also for their brothers in arms, with whom they fought together to defend their native land.
Брати на себе відповідальність. Брати відповідальність не тільки за себе, але і за своїх побратимів.
It was the sense of responsibility that helped Anton pull himself together. He could not return to his old job because he knew it would no longer bring him any pleasure. I was totally exhausted and simply lost the desire to do that. I lost the pleasure from engaging in that. However, he really wanted to help those who returned from the front line. Therefore, Anton decided that his job would be connected with the army. At the same time, his friends, who had already established a non-government organization for veterans, persuaded him to join them. Anton and his comrades helped other soldiers to adapt to civilian life after the war.
Роботи ми стикалися з абсолютно взагалі такими речами, яких аналогів немає в світі.
Over half a year, we faced challenges that have no analogs in the world when it comes to the adaptation of veterans. For example, hippotherapy, when soldiers are rehabilitated through communication with horses. In such therapy, there can be free tours during which they can observe different forms of power sports.
Це може бути різноманітні види силових видів спорту, до яких безкоштовно залучаються ветерани.
While engaged with that occupation, he had a commercial dream and started his own business. Thus, the production of the most delicious stew appeared in Ukraine. Anton says that they had to eat terrible army stew and dreamt of producing good stew in convenient soft packaging. They were looking for strong packaging for storage for a long period of time. They did not find suitable production facilities in Ukraine and turned to a European plant in the end. Now they ordered the retort pack there, which is a vacuum package that can withstand an amazing 150 kilograms of pressure.
Це полімерна упаковка, металізована полімерна упаковка.
It's a metallized polymeric package that preserves the product just like a metal one would, and in fact even better. There's no contact with metal. Its quality will be preserved until the polymers dissolve, though only if it is made properly. Unlike with round canned food, when people basically transport air, this package takes up much less space.
При навіть транспортуванні це люди везуть повітря.
Soldiers must be mobile, well-fed, and must not be hindered by carrying food in their pockets. So the boys have measured all pocket sizes in their pants in the uniforms that were available to them with the optimal package size. In the end, one pocket of military pants can fit 3 packs of such stew. It might seem that it's nothing surprising, it's just ordinary stew, but the soldiers are proud of their achievement.
Ми зробили новацію. Ми продаємо тушковане м'ясо. Це не супер-пупер, це там не літаки і не ракети в космос. Але якщо на нашому ринку це 50-60% м'яса.
We've made an innovation. We're changing the space around ourselves, introducing new rules of the game on the market, and are proud of the fact that we are honest and don't deceive our customers, for example, by adding flavoring to the meat.
Простір навколо себе, ми приносимо в ринок нові правила гри, що не можна обманювати покупця, наприклад, що не можна там додавати ароматизатори в м'ясо.
We were offered meat from Poland, even from Argentina. Moreover, it would be much cheaper to import it from South America, but we work only with Ukrainian farmers, out of principle, says Kolumbet. Our main buyers are fishermen, hunters, tourists, and truckers. Product is also delivered to fighters in the ATO zone through a volunteer supply line. Anton loves his job. Naturally, not everything works out as there is a lot of competition on the market, but if you sit idle and do nothing, you won't achieve anything.
Якщо ти кожного дня лупиш кайлом в стінку, то
If you hammer a wall every day, it might seem that nothing is changing. That's because it's the same wall and the same hammer. But if you take a step back and you'll see a mountain of rubble under your feet, and you'll realize that the process is going forward, and you see good progress. It is often difficult to notice right away, but changes are visible.
це дуже важко побачити, але воно є, і зміни є.
Employment and pleasure from work helped Anton adapt very quickly. In addition to that, he manages to find time to arrange parties for ATO veterans, go on fishing trips, rafting, play a few games of billiards, and also conduct a project in which entire group helps out, trains, and employs ATO veterans in executive bodies.
В нас є, скажімо так,
We have brought certain things with us from the war. We have experience. We paid for Ukraine with our blood and the blood of our friends and brothers in arms. So now our main goal is to make this business successful and enjoy a peaceful life.
Ми не маємо іншого виходу, ніж зробити її успішно.